So, thank you guys for tuning in to West Wednesday. This is West Wednesday, week 541. West Wednesday, week 541. And we're still waiting on my our special guest tonight, Lieutenant Mitchell. He's here. He's just parking, but I'm going to get started. I just got some real sad news from one of my sisters. So if you've been following the case of William Green, PG County, our sister Nikki Owens has been, literally fighting for accountability in the murder killer cop that murdered her loved one, William Green. He was handcuffed. First of all, he got in a car accident. He got in a car accident, hit a few cars or whatever. Nothing that warranted a death sentence. And literally, to make a long story short, he was placed up front of a patrol car of a repeat violent offender. I believe the officer, the killer, is Michael Owens, and he was placed up front with this Caucasian killer that literally had him handcuffed, murdered our brother, killed him, murdered him, cold blood. And the verdict just came back in the night, and he pretty much got off on everything. Like he was locked up ever since 2020, correct? 2020, he was waiting trial and playing the Doug and Pony show and all that. But tonight he just got off on. He got acquitted on all the charges. This is utterly ridiculous. I'm beyond disappointed. I'm heartbroken. It's disgusting. And it's just sad the stuff that we go through just because of the color of our skin. It's ridiculous.
Handcuff on.
He was, and let's be clear, he was handcuffed behind his back. Literally handcuffed behind his back.
Okay.
And Uncle Bill, do you mind giving some details about it? Mic check, Uncle Bill. Do you mind giving us details about it? Because Uncle Bill and a few of our colleagues went to try to support our sister. I wish I was off, but I had to work, so I was unable to go and support her. But Uncle Bill was there. Mic check.
Mic check.
On your phone.
So I was there on one of the days, and then four of us from West Wednesday went on another day at the trial. And his cousin, Nikki Owens, she's sort of the Tawanda Jones of that family, and she's been fighting and organizing rallies and petitions and so on ever since the police murder, which was, as I recollect, in January of 2020. And she was very gracious at the trial. When we got there, she gave us all hugs. She thanked us repeatedly for being there to support her family. And it's outrageous that this jury made the decision, and undoubtedly it was also the fault of PG County and the government in general, made this decision to let that cop off on all charges. One of the people who was at the trial with us is named Marion, and her son was killed by the police years ago in PG County, and she pointed out to me that in those rare cases where they actually prosecute a cop after brutality, in this case murder, that the prosecutor's office, what they'll do generally is pick the least experienced prosecutors, people who've never been on a murder trial, and put them in charge of trying to indict, some not already indicted, trying to convict the killer cop, knowing that it's unlikely to win when they put inexperienced prosecutors on the case. So defending the cop was this guy with gray hair, spoke very articulately. He obviously had been involved in many, many trials, sophisticated legally, and the two guys who were prosecuting the cop were both young and obviously less experienced. And I'm sure that played a role. And so, even more so than the jury, I think that the guilty party here is the legal system in PG County, just like the legal system in the rest of the country. They only prosecutes cops in 2% of the cases when they kill somebody. And even then, like we just saw in this case, it's not a serious prosecution. Just like in Baltimore when they went after the killers of Freddie Gray, that was not a serious prosecution. In fact, they're probably prosecuting the wrong cops to make the case even weaker. So, just to reiterate what happened, William Green was driving. he rear-ended a car and then sideswiped two others and then ended up hitting a tree. And he was unconscious when the cops arrived. They woke him up. They took him out of the car. He never resisted. He never said anything. There was no struggle. They handcuffed him, put his arms behind his back, and they walked him to one of the cops' patrol cars. And they sat him in the front seat, in the passenger side, still arms handcuffed behind his back. And that particular cop, I think you said Owen, Michael Owen, I think that's right. And they sat there for about 30 minutes. Owen's in the driver's seat, parked, and William Green in the passenger seat. And the reason they were sitting for 30 minutes is because they were waiting for some expert to test William Green for drugs and alcohol. The other cop on the scene walked past the car. No, I'm sorry, he drove past the car. Well, let me backtrack. Prior to that, there was a moment when William Green told the cop, "I have to pee." And then the second cop happened to be at the window of his car at that moment and said, "Don't pee in this car." And William Green says, "I'll do what I want to do." That may be what pissed that cop off, the one sitting in the car, and caused him to shoot. Because he was challenged about some slight thing. At any rate, that second cop who was on the outside, at a later moment, drove slowly up to the car, side by side, the car where William Green was sitting, and he testified in court that there was no altercation, there were no harsh words, there was no struggle, nothing was going on. And then he continued driving up about one more car length to speak to some of the people who've been involved in the car crash and get testimony about that. And then the shots rang out. The shots that cop fired at William Green. I think there were 6 or 7 shots. 5 hit William Green. 2 were failed immediately. The cop who drove past the car in which William Green was sitting, was asked by one of the lawyers, "How long was it from the time you were by the side of the car and saw that no altercation was going on? How long was it from then until the moment when you drove up a car length and heard the shots?" He said, "Seconds." That's what the cop said. Seconds. In other words, it would have been virtually impossible for an altercation to have broken out and caused that gunfire. And yet that's what the cop's lawyers argued, that William Green began an altercation and threatened him, trying to get his gun, blah, 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 with his arms handcuffed behind his back. It's an absurd charge, and it's an absurd miscarriage of justice that cop has now been found innocent. It should make us even angrier at the way this injustice system works. So those are the details that I'm aware of.
Thank you so much for the details. I want to remind you guys. Yeah, but if I come up in the state, that makes the sound.
It's in front of the mic. We get feedback. Down right? Sure, you can put it back where.
Oh, all right. So, I just want you guys to know that, first of all, dead people don't talk. Let's be crystal clear. Dead people do not talk. And when these killer cops murder our loved ones, then they start trying to be our loved one's voice. Just like when they brutally murdered my brother, Tyrone West, they pretty much said that he said the struggle ensued when he said that he sat on the curb, and when he sat down, his pants leg pulled up and they noticed a bulge in his socks. Mind you, my brother had on shorts and he had on ankle socks. So they can't even lie straight, right? But to make up that absurd lie, but then to say, "You're going to lock me up for these measly drugs," I never, in all 44 years of my brother's life at the time he was executed, never heard my brother use the terminology measly. So they make up stuff. I guarantee you, William probably did actually use the bathroom, but all the other stuff, see, they try to make us seem like we were ignorant or we deserved to be murdered. And they start talking for us and making up foolishness. But regardless, if he would have cussed him completely out, did he deserve to be brutally executed is the question. But anyway, Well, special guest has, he's here. Lieutenant Mitch Waters, he's here now, and I'm gonna pass the mic to him because he was on last week, and he pretty much, had all the lines jumping. Everybody had comments, and we were actually supposed to be at the fire station downtown, the fire department, but we'll be down there probably next week. But we couldn't go down there tonight because there's so much of foolishness that's happened, and I didn't want our brother drowned out. I didn't want his message lost or anything because they are lighting up the tree at City Hall. They got, they're protesting about the war, what's going on. So it's a lot going on downtown. So like I said, I did not want us to be distracted, and I want you guys to pay close attention to what our brothers is experiencing. And it all ties hand in hand. I know we fight about police brutality, but I fight about any injustice anywhere. Let's be crystal clear. It is the highway of hell. So no further ado, here's our brother. Mike Chuck.
Mic check, mic check. How y'all doing? Thanks for having me on again, Tawanda. I appreciate it. Once again, my name is Lieutenant Mitchell Waters. I'm with the Baltimore City Fire Department. Last week, I reached out to Ms. Jones, how long ago? Maybe about a few months ago. Yeah, a few months ago. And I told her I have a lawsuit against the Baltimore City Fire Department, alleging racial and color discrimination, harassment, a hostile work environment, retaliation, and violation of Maryland employment practices. I've been very vocal about the treatment that I see African Americans receiving inside the Baltimore City Fire Department. Me being passionate about being a firefighter, being a lieutenant, being in a position of leadership within the Baltimore City Fire Department and within our city, period, I take great offense to the things that have been happening to African American firefighters within the Baltimore City Fire Department, and it's just time to put it out there. These things have been happening for years. I know personally to myself, I've been in the department now for 12 years. And as I said last week, when I think back in retrospect, these things have been happening to me my entire career. But just the past 2.5 years, these things have just been blatant. Being put on frivolous charges, always under investigation. We have African American firefighters being attacked while working inside of burning buildings by white assailants. And there's no penalty for these guys when they attack us in these buildings. I recently was attacked in I think back in on August 24th of this year, and we had to go through the whole litigation thing, and it came out that the first thing they did was they blamed me. They said that I attacked this dude, but it came out that he put his hands on me first, and the only thing I did was defend myself. And this has been happening. I named it. I talked about it in my lawsuit. And these guys are furious at me because I'm bringing light to these things that are happening. This disparaging treatment that African Americans are receiving, like myself, my different brothers inside the fire department. I had a sister call me yesterday, told me she was dealing with some stuff, asked me could I help her with it. The things that we're dealing with, it's just not right, And like Ms. Jones said, we hear about the police department all the time, and the police department, the things that they do, the mistreatment that they give to the public and stuff like that is always spoken about. But like I said, you rarely hear about the fire department. But any institution, it seems like has some sort of racism in it, some sort of racism, some sort of discriminatory treatment that they give to like minorities. And I mean, they treat us like we should be happy to be in the fire department, and like it's a privilege that they gave to us. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy to be in the fire department, and it is a privilege. But this is a privilege that I've earned. Yeah. This is not something that was given to me. I've taken every test. I passed every test that was put in front of me. I even went out on my own and got my paramedic license, got my ALS license. Nobody told me to do that. I took it upon myself to do that because I want to be an asset to the fire department and an asset to my city. But they don't see things like that. I mean, they got their political alliances and stuff like that. And I mean, it's just real. It's real messed up in there. A few months ago, I think back in May, I was on Channel 11, and I appreciate Mr. Barry Sims for having me on there, and Channel WBAL having me on there. But they didn't really go into the meat and potatoes of my lawsuit. Like we put it out there like, oh, this lieutenant is, you know what I'm saying? What racial discrimination is another black guy talking about racial discrimination. Oh, he's probably about to get fired or something like that. I'm not close to being fired. They got steps to take before they fire me. Other than them retaliating against me, I spoke out and I did this because of the treatment that I've received and the stuff that I've been seeing for years. And like I said last week, just like I told Ms. Jones last week when I was on when we was online, I told her that me filing this lawsuit is not. I didn't just get mad one day and say, "Oh, I'm sick of this. I'm gonna file a lawsuit." No, it was steps to this. I exhausted all of my resources before I filed this lawsuit. I went to the Office of the Inspector General. I went to Baltimore City Human Resources, Fire Department Human Resources. I went to our local unions, 964 and 734. I spoke to someone from Nick Mosby's office. I talked to Brandon Scott himself. I saw Brandon Scott down the public safety infirmary. I told him about what we're dealing with inside the fire department. I told him that that this type of treatment is African Americans are receiving this type of treatment within the fire department. And his response to me was like he knew that is going on. He said, "You don't say." And I said, "Yeah." I was like, "We want to set up a meeting so that we could come talk to you and possibly do something about this." And he gave me his personal phone number. I have his personal phone number in my cell phone. I called him, I texted him, I sent him messages, I left voicemail messages when there was space on his answer machine, and nothing. I got nothing. I went to every outlet that they had. So the last thing, they finally listening to me now because I filed this lawsuit and it's bringing public attention to it. And
they do that shit on purpose, by the way.
It's all good. It's all good. But anyway, I feel like the only way, and I tell my brothers in the job, the only way for us to get this stuff to stop, because when y'all hear about the fire department, let me just ask y'all, as the general public, when y'all hear about the fire department, you think about good guys. You don't think about this type of stuff happening inside the fire department. But I'm telling you that it is. And I've been telling my brothers in the department, the only way for us to make this stuff change is, unfortunately, as much as I love my job, as much as I love the fire department, I don't like the way they treat me. We have to publicly flog them and put it out there what they're doing to us.
That's right.
Because it's not cool. And that's one of the great things about this platform right here, this social media platform. Like you said last week, it was popping off on here. This gives us a way to reach a larger audience. There was so many people commenting last week saying, "Wow, I didn't know that this type of stuff was going on." I didn't know this type of stuff was going on before I jumped in the fire department. I just thought that we was all in here kumbaya and everybody's a brotherhood. We all get along, black, white. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought it was. But when I come in here, it's not what I thought it was. And like I said, I'm tired of dealing with it. And ultimately, I wanted to change. That's it. I wanted to change. I want the department to stand for what it's supposed to stand for. I wanted to be a beacon of light for the citizens of Baltimore, as it should be. Once again, Ms. Jones, I appreciate you for letting me come on here. Thank you for letting me get my message out here. The message that myself and other brothers inside the fire department, brothers and sisters inside the fire department, dealing with this disparaging treatment. I know a lot of times people are asking, what could they do to help? Like I said, I was explaining to my brothers in the job, when it comes to things inside the fire department, disciplinary proceedings and hearings and stuff like that, we don't have a win with that. They already have it set up, what they want to do to us, how they're going to move on it, and everything. When they first initiate these charges and they make up these things about us, they already have it set in their mind what they want to do to us. Our only win is the citizens. Baltimore is predominantly African American, 70% African American, and take color out of it, just from a human being point of view, because I don't have a problem with white people, Chinese people, any race. I have a problem. Is white people walking around, black people walking around, Chinese people walking around because of chaos render. I treat everybody the same. But the treatment that we are receiving is based on race. And it's funny how they try to flip the narrative, or they say, oh, Lieutenant Ward is racist. There's nothing racist about me. The treatment that I'm receiving is based on racism. Understand that. I love white people just like I love black people. But you're not going to treat me differently because of the color of my skin.
Absolutely.
And that's the point that I want to bring home. So, like I said, we out here tonight. It's not real bad out here tonight. But what we're planning to do is have a picket line down in front of fire department headquarters, just so they could get the message. Like, I'm not playing with them. I don't think we should play with them. We deserve better inside the fire department. The citizens of Baltimore deserve better, and that's what needs to happen. If this is what it takes to make a change happen, then so be it. And once again, Ms. Jones, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate y'all for listening to me. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. And we definitely totally support you, brother. We definitely support you. And it's just sad. Racism follows us everywhere. Like, I was dealing with a situation. I'm not going to blow it up now. But it's just like, God always shows me everything. And literally, while we were having a West Wednesday planning meeting, I was really feeling upset. And I had to lay it on the hearts of my fellow brothers and sisters and tell them how I felt some type of way about the things that my youngest daughter is experiencing at a gym that I'm paying money for about her hair. You know, it bothered me, and I'm like, why is this bothering me? And literally, my salon pretty much sent me a message that was going about. She didn't even know it was my daughter's gym. That's just how God works. Like, He puts everything in the forefront, and He always directs my path. So, but it's sad, like, it follows us everywhere. It don't just stop at the police department. It goes to the firefighters. It goes everywhere, to the schools, to the baby gyms. It goes everywhere. It's an ugly seed rearing its head. This week we were down there for a public safety hearing meeting to talk about local control over our police officers, something that we haven't seen since the 1800s, like before we were even thought about. And literally we got blackballed out of that meeting. Like, we were lied to. They got the cops at the front door to lie to our face and say, hey, the meeting has been postponed and all this foolishness. But you got to believe we'll be there tomorrow.
Yes.
We will be. I can't wait till tomorrow. That is disgusting. We are taxpayers. We had a right to be in that room. Mic check.
Just speaking on the hearing tomorrow, it's a town hall for local control, and they're taking public testimonies. Some loud vehicles. And it's at 5:30 at City Hall, but I would urge you to try and get there at 5 o'clock because we got there right at 5:30 on Monday, and there was a separate demonstration outside, and we think that's why they locked it down. And we don't know if that's going to happen again. So in order to get your foot in the door and sign up for testimony, I would urge you to get there at 5 o'clock tomorrow. And the reason why it's very important is because they are putting the local control stipulations into the city charter. And that takes a charter amendment, which goes on the ballot and people have to vote for it. And there's one line in what they want to put in the city charter that reads pretty much like enjoyment of pretty much immunities and defenses, which is qualified immunity. And it's one of the worst stipulations of LEOBR, which is the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, which they claim was repealed, but it wasn't. There's a zombie form of it still in play. It's still state law, and they still have qualified immunity. In fact, earlier this week, there was a hearing at the Maryland Supreme Court regarding Corinne Gaines' son, Cody. And they're claiming qualified immunity and how that comes into play in paying out the settlement for Cody. So they will literally use qualified immunity to get away with shooting a toddler in his face. That's what happened to Cody. Cody got shot in his face when he was a toddler. And they are trying to use qualified immunity to not pay the settlement to him. So this is why qualified immunity is not only dangerous, but putting it into the city charter, which is a local ordinance, it sets a dangerous precedent, because if we do succeed in getting LEOBR fully repealed and getting rid of qualified immunity, they're going to put it in stone in our city charter, and we don't want that. So what my testimony is pretty much, strike that one line out of what you want to put into the city charter, because right now LEOBR supersedes any local or city law anyway. And so they already have that. They already have that protection. And we don't need to put it into the city charter, because then in order to get it removed, you have to go through the same process we've been going through for local control, and getting another charter amendment, another hopefully city council taking it up to get that verbiage removed. So what I want to urge is for people to demand that they remove that stipulation of qualified immunity before it gets passed, before it gets put on the city charter. Because if they don't remove it, then what winds up on the ballot, I will do everything in my power to get out in these streets and make people aware to vote against that shit. I don't care how long we've been fighting for local control. They cannot put qualified immunity into our city charter. It's dangerous. They already feel like they got a license to kill, beat, maim, and disparage people. We don't need to give them even more protection. And I just have a feeling like the city law department is who put that in there, most likely at the behest of the FOP. Well, fuck the FOP.
Mhm.
Fuck your qualified immunity.
That's right.
Mic check.
So again, I want to thank each and every last one of y'all for coming out tonight. And if anybody else want to add to the mic before we go into the sad list, because I am freezing. Mic check.
I just want to sort of put our work in an international context for a moment. Our sisters and brothers in Gaza are suffering horrendously. Gaza is an area that's perhaps twice the size of Baltimore. That's it. It's the most densely populated part of the whole world. And of the 2.1 million people that live in Gaza, since the war began, let me get the number right, 1.8 million people have been displaced. The vast majority have been displaced, and as I understand, more than half the housing has been destroyed. And now that they're bombing southern Gaza, people who moved from the north to the south are being told by the Israeli army, you're going to move again. And there's nowhere safe to move to. And the Israeli army has been dropping thousands of thousands of 2,000 pound bombs. The United States, even though they kill millions of people looking out for their oil interests and other interests in Iraq and so on, usually doesn't use anything bigger than a 500-pound bomb, because otherwise you kill a lot of people who are non-combatants. And Israel is dropping bombs 4 times that size. And guess where those bombs are coming from? They're from the United States. So the U.S. government has blood on its hands, and we have to support our brothers and sisters from Gaza. Okay. Okay.
The BPD is trained by the IDF.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So I want to tell you guys, so you know about tomorrow. But if you guys are not doing anything on Saturday, I'm going to upload it. But I'm on a panel discussion this Saturday about my brother's book that's out. And this is the second panel. It's happening this Saturday. I think it's at 12:30 at a bookshop. But I'll give you guys the information and details by tomorrow. So they real extra tonight with these lights stuff. Noise. Yeah, so I will be putting all the details up by tomorrow for the panel discussion about my brother's book. Okay, so I'm gonna read our disclosure.
I was watching this. Okay.
It is our mission of the West Coalition to work for accountability for Tyrone West and all the victims of police brutality. We believe that there is a connection between police brutality and community violence. Police can use de-escalation strategies to diffuse situations without necessarily using force, and we encourage community members to resolve disputes without violence. We care deeply about those families impacted by police brutality and community violence. We seek to uplift the names of their loved ones from a place of respect and care. We obtained the list of names of those shot and killed by police and those lost to the community violence from national and local news outlets. We know that these are no means exhaustive lists and that gun violence isn't the only way that people are murdered. We do not obtain detailed information about the circumstances surrounding each of these deaths or the people who died. By reading these names, we're not condoning violence on the behalf of anyone involved in the situations. So before we take a minute break, I want you guys to please keep my sister Nikki in your prayers. Keep our family in your prayers, because that is horrible, devastating, unbelievable news. And that makes me feel even more unsafe in America. You could be handcuffed with your hands behind your back and gunned down by a vicious known killer. He has killed before, and it's not going to be his last kill. Just like Ruiz killed my brother, him and 16 other murderers murdered one unarmed man, and for 10 long years we're still fighting for accountability. Our brother, our king, is out here tonight, stepping up for the firefighters that are getting mistreated, that are our color. Let's be crystal clear. We need to stick together and knock this whole damn system down.
That's right.
That's the only way.
That's right.
I've been trying it every other way. It's not working.
Right.
Knock it down, build it back up. That's where I'm at with it.
There you go.
All the rest of the stuff is foolishness.
Right.
I'm sick of the Dag and Pony show. I can't wait till tomorrow.
Let's go.
I'm hurt. Enough is enough. Knock it down, build it back up. That's the only way.
That's right.
Let's be crystal clear. The only way.
Let's go.
Everything else is an illusion. So I'm gonna take a minute at 7:50. We'll come back at 7:51. But this is for any and everybody that's going through something right now. For all the stolen lives. For the people that are getting murdered in the wars that are happening. We have wars in our own city by these killer cops, by these racist pigs, by everybody trying to separate us from skin color and money. That's what moves this damn world and it's saying. 1 minute, mic check.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like people that negative.
Thank you guys so much. And normally I don't do this, but before I bring my sister Queen up to read the names, I want to bring my brother Mitch up. Mic check, Mitch. I have a question for him once he's talking, but I have a question that I want to ask him, and it's just on my heart right now. Because we know that an officer can get away with, I feared for my life. That's all they gotta say. It could be a mother holding her child, breastfeeding her, and they could say that they thought her breast was a weapon, and they could get straight away with murdering a mother and an infant, right? Anybody can get murdered. All they gotta do is say, I feared for my life. But this is my real hero right here. So I wanna ask my real hero, who is a firefighter, who puts his life on the line every day, not knowing if he's ever gonna see his family again. Good father, everything. He don't know if he's ever gonna make it back home. He is the real hero, right? So I want to ask you, if there's a house burning down to the ground, and you should have fear, you should get scared and all that. But could you actually sit on the curb and say, I fear for my life, and let that family burn up? That's all I want to know real fast.
Like, first of all, like I said, it takes a special person to be selfless as the job of a firefighter requires you to be, to risk your life, limb, and the risk of, like Ms. Jones said, not seeing your family again, to go inside of a burning building and save a complete stranger. So me, I can't. That's not in me. Like, just, I would have to do something. I would have to try to help in some type of way. Like, whether it be fighting a fire, or if I see somebody having a medical emergency, I see somebody having a seizure, I'm like, it's almost like an instinct now. But no, we can't. We don't have the luxury of saying, even though we like, it's been a few fires I've been in where my butt puckered, and I'm just like, oh, like my ears are burning. I'm in there crawling around. I can't see. It's dark in the fire. You can't see nothing until you get to the fire. It's smoky in there. It's scary. It's not. It's scary. That's why they say we're brave, because there is fear. There's no courage without fear. If you're not afraid to do something, it doesn't take courage to do it. But if you're afraid to do something, but you do it anyway, that's what courage is. So no, we that's not in me. We don't have the luxury of saying I'm scared for my life. Even if I am scared for my life, I still gotta bust a move, because somebody else's life is on the line, and that's what we get paid to do. We get paid to save people's lives.
I appreciate that. And I know that you probably would get in so much trouble if you just sat there and watched. So I definitely appreciate the real hero. But I want to ask them that question. Why can these killer cops get away with murdering us?
Right,
Just because they fear for their lives.
right.
We have to take it back to the origin of policing. They were slave catchers. They still look at us like goddamn slaves.
Right,
Our lives don't matter to them.
right.
That's why they can get away with it and still be paid. Mic check.
My check.
Okay, so this evening I'm going to be reading the list of people in Baltimore who were killed in the last week. This is the community violence list. As Tawanda often says, there's a real connection between police brutality and community violence. It's all violence. So I'm going to read these names from Baltimore. Let's remember their families and remember their loved ones, because this impacts more than just that person. It impacts the whole community. So if you please repeat the names back to me after I've read them. First one is Carlos Carranza Ricardo, age 18. Wallace Reed Allen, age 80. Howard Dorsey, 70. Carlos Aseguera Funes, 17. Anton Pensier, 69. Philip Brown, 28. Michael Saffold, 28. Antoine Anthony, 33.
My sister's going to read the police brutality list. Mic check. Yeah,
I just want to mention that we're announcing deaths due to police violence. from November the 26th to December the 4th. 20 people were killed during that short time period of 8 days, including 6 people, if I remember the date correctly, 6 people on December the 1st and 7 on December the 3rd.
And I just wanted to say something real quick that, on that list of, the community violence, the 2, teenagers were, both Latino. And it seems like, minorities, especially young minorities, are being stricken, you know, stricken down a lot lately. And I just wanted to call attention to that. Okay, on November 26th, in Bakersfield, California, 53-year-old man, unknown name, self-locked for killer cops. Ashe. Oh, I'm sorry. His name is here. Let me start over. November 26th in Bakersfield, California, 53-year-old David O. Okay, and November 28th in Puyallup, Washington, 22-year-old James Salanoa Jr. Again on November 28th, Fulton, Georgia, 78. Fred Perkins. November 29th, in Cortez, Colorado, 44-year-old Jason Campbell. Oh, in Indianapolis, Indiana, it says, killed in a vehicle. I just want to point that out. A 60-year-old Lamont Bland. On December 1st, in West Haven, Connecticut, killed in their apartment, 33-year-old Jovan Washington. In Elk Grove, Illinois, also on December 1st, in Elk Grove, Illinois, 24-year-old Jack Murray. Also on the 1st, in Sandy, Utah, an unidentified male killed in an apartment building. Cell blocks for killer cops. Also on December 1st, in Lansing, Michigan, 33-year-old Stephen Romero. Also on the 1st, in Prague, Oklahoma, an unidentified male. Cell blocks for killer cops. Also on December 1st, in West Haven, Connecticut, another identified person. Cell blocks for killer cops. I guess that's also also on December 1st, in Fort Towson, Oklahoma, 24-year-old Nathaniel Smith. On December 3rd, in Roanoke, Virginia, an unidentified 39-year-old. That's for killer cops. Also on December 3rd, in Wichita, Kansas, 50-year-old Daniel Stowe. Also on the 3rd, in Woodstock, Alabama, 32-year-old Joseph Goodson. Also on the 3rd, in St. Charles County, Missouri, 34-year-old Douglas Phipps. Again on December 3rd, in Fayetteville, Arkansas, 57-year-old Scotty Stacy. Also on the 3rd, in Lake St. Louis, Missouri, 28-year-old Wesley Ingram. Again on December 3rd, in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, 54-year-old Troy Anspaugh.
Yeah, well, I'm with you, baby. I'm all there with him. Yeah. Don't forget him. Got the fastest ever.
Let's go.
Also on the 3rd, in Idaho Falls, Idaho, a 34-year-old unidentified man. Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe. Just so you understand what just happened, the lady went by and she actually knew Tyrone's nickname, Reader, and she said forever Reader. So yeah, like justice for Tyrone West.
Justice for Tyrone West.
Yes, and rest in power, Reader. Mic check.
So guys, I want to thank each and every last one of you for being on here tonight. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in on live. I want to thank my sister Dre for always holding it down. I want to thank each and every last one of you, the West Coalition. Remember, live to love, love to live. I love you all. I want to thank my brother that came from DC to do the footage, the video footage and photographs and all that wonderful stuff. Thank you, Brother Mike. Thank each and every last one of you. Mic check.
Mic check.